Hi guys, and welcome to this new fun video. I'm going to show you a lot of things in this video. First, I want to talk about how my week has been because I had a very fun week and I did a little vlog. I also wanted to show it in this video. So on Sunday I went to an exposition of my best friend. So we saw her art and there also was a performance, which was very nice. On Monday we went for a walk in the park and there were little ducklings or geeslings, I don't know what it's called. On Tuesday I went to set up an expo very far away from where I live. I was away for about 8 hours because I don't have a driver's license. On Wednesday I edited my last video in the library and I published it. On Thursday I decided to take another day off. To be clear, I don't have a job at the moment. And on Saturday we visited the expo I was showing my work at. I was wearing my handmade two-piece set, by the way. After visiting the expo we saw some family. So in this video I'll give you a few quick tips on how you can find your art style. I just thought of these tips quite quickly and then noted them down. To be completely transparent, I'm a bit stressed when it comes to giving tips because I have a lot of imposter syndrome. The funny thing is, I made a similar video about 4 years ago and then I was very confident in giving tips and I improved so much in the past 4 years, but somehow now I feel a bit more secure when it comes to giving tips. So please let me know if this was helpful in any way because I feel a little bit stressed about it because, yeah, it's just the imposter syndrome. Although I have been doing art for a very long time and it has also been my job at one point. So I think I do know some things when it comes to illustration. Yeah, I will mainly talk about illustration in this video because that's my main activity that I do. I also do crochet, but I don't really know how to give tips on that, on finding your art style, to be honest, because I also just started with doing crochet. First, I'll also show you a time-lapse of a digital drawing I do. In this video I wanted to show a digital drawing process and also a process in my sketchbook, so with actual art supplies. I did this drawing in the train when I was like away for 8 hours on Tuesday, and I was really looking forward for this illustration, but in the beginning I kind of hated it and I didn't really know why. I think it's because the style is a little bit more realistic compared to the simplistic style I usually do, and I also like to draw cute girls much more than pretty girls, if you know what I mean. This might be a weird explanation, but I prefer the cute style a lot more compared to like pretty and more sophisticated. But I kept going with the drawing and I did like how it turned out eventually. I think it didn't fit my style 100%, but I'm so happy I just made a drawing because it has been like 2 weeks before that I have drawn. And I was in a little bit of an art block, so I just was like, I'm going to just draw something on the train and keep going with it, although I don't really like it that much. But I mean, when I see the result, I do like it. It's just, I don't know, I don't want to say I'm insecure because I'm not insecure, but I just see a lot more things that could be better, if you know what I mean. I feel like the longer you do art, the more things you can notice about your own art that could be a bit better. But maybe I'm just a bit too hard on myself, I have no idea. I had fun either way drawing that drawing on the train, and you know, it turned out fine. I do like the result. Now I'm going to show you the clip of me drawing in my sketchbook, and I'm going to give you some quick tips on how you can be consistent with your style, like the few tips that popped up in my head that might be able to help you a little bit. So the first thing I thought about was using the same color palette each time. I know not everyone does this, but for me it's like a very important thing, and I'm talking from my own perspective in this video. I feel like the colors I use always have the same vibe. I use a lot of purple tones. I also literally have a color palette in Procreate that I always use. I only use those colors, and I also use a lot of blending modes and stuff like that to create new colors. I would say pick a few signature colors you really want to use, but also do whatever you want, of course, because the beauty of art is just having the freedom to not follow any rules. So also remember that for the upcoming tips. Another tip is to try to find out which type of texture or finish you like the most, and to try to apply that over multiple mediums. So for example, when you draw digitally or when you draw in your sketchbook. I use the same Procreate brushes all the time. I like the look of like markers or maybe watercolor a lot. And in my sketchbook I try to copy the texture a little bit based on the brushes I use in Procreate, because I mainly draw digitally. And then in my sketchbook I mainly use watercolor and colored pencils, for example, because that's a look that I personally really like. Now I try to be as consistent as possible in my style, but when I did my mural at my parents' house, it was a little bit more difficult because then I was using acrylic paint and I still haven't figured out that much on how I can make it relatable to my other mediums. I still think painting with acrylic paint is kind of hard, especially to make it fit in with my other illustrations. But I still hope you can see that I made the mural. At least I hope so. Another tip is to find your favorite artists to get inspired by, or at least a kind of style that you can get inspiration from. I follow a lot of artists on Instagram, and I also have an inspiration board on Pinterest, which I look to a lot. I often look at references when I'm drawing, and this can be real life pictures, but I also like to look at art I really admire. Of course, never copy artwork, but I do believe that it's good to get inspired by elements from different artists to make like your own kind of mix of art elements, if you know what I mean. When I see an artwork and I notice a detail about it that I really like, I try to remember it for my next illustration, for example. It happens sometime, but I feel like it's very rare to completely come up with everything from the top of your head when it comes to illustration. So for me, inspiration is really important. And it also often helps me through art block, which is like a bonus tip. I like to look at other art a lot to help me get through art block. The second thing is to just draw a lot. I know this tip is so common, but over time you'll find signature elements that really define your style. I wish it was the case, but you'll never get a defined art style by just thinking about it and looking at other art. You actually need to put in the work, and in the beginning it can be hard because you want to hurry up with having process. But just remember that the point of making art is to have fun and to enjoy the process. It's not a competition, so there's no need to be all perfectionist from the start. Be kind to yourself and allow yourself to have time to practice. So the next tip is to try out different styles if you aren't happy with the style you're evolving to at the moment. There's no shame in changing up things if you don't feel satisfied anymore. I feel like for me, my style also keeps evolving over time. It's really fun to just try out new things, new subjects, have a new challenge for yourself. Personally, I feel like it's okay to not have like a 100% consistent style all the time. You can also, of course, just draw behind the scenes in totally different styles just for fun. You don't have to show these artworks, like online, for example, but you can if you want to. The next tip is to look up tutorials if you're struggling with something, or if you see like a really nice finish of an artwork and you would like to copy it yourself. On Procreate or Photoshop, for example, you can always look up how to create that effect on YouTube or Google, for example. There are tons of tutorials online for free. that can help you develop your style. Now take all the tips that I gave you with a grain of salt. I'm not the biggest illustration pro in the world, but I hope that maybe I could give you some ideas if you want to have a very signature style. The whole point of creating art is to have fun, so if you don't agree with something I said, please just do whatever you think is best. So those were my tips for you. Maybe I forgot some very important things because I didn't watch any other videos with the same subject. I just wanted to create my own tips. But yeah, maybe it could help you somehow. And I'm very curious, let me know in the comments if it gave you some inspiration. I also really hope you liked the drawings that I did. I personally really liked the drawing that I did in my sketchbook. Remember that not every drawing you do ever has to be like your best artwork, because I do feel kind of meh about the digital drawing, but I still kind of like it. But then the drawing I did in my sketchbook I think was really fun, and I think my art block kind of helped me to improve a little bit, because lately I've been feeling very critical on myself, but at the same time I think it also helps me to push myself to create better art and to do my best a bit more. So I really like how the sketchbook drawing came out. If you enjoyed the video, please let me know by liking, commenting and subscribing, and I'll see you in my next video. I hope you have a good day or night. Bye bye!